big heist. Risky heist.
Blow it.
Gotta be something good. Something expensive. Ooh, jackpot.
Ever see a black diamond?
Well, I've seen a white diamond. Hell, I've seen Neil Diamond. I got a bit. He is awesome in concert. Never seen a black diamond. Something's wrong.
I want my stones, Mr. Fade.
I'm not gonna be able to do that.
Enough.
She will kill you, witch. Not if I kill you first, orphan bitch.
By the year 2002, something interesting had happened to the conversation around Jet Li in the West. The early Hollywood years, the lethal weapon villain, the Romeo Must Die introduction, the strange science fiction experiment of the one, had established him as a known quantity, a reliable action presence that American audiences understood and respected. But what happened over the following 6 years took that established reputation and built something genuinely unexpected on top of it. This is the period where Jet Li stopped being categorized as simply an action star and started appearing in conversations about serious international cinema, where his films began winning the kind of recognition that action movies almost never receive, where he worked alongside some of the most respected directors and performers in the world and matched their level completely, and where, in between those prestige achievements, he also made some of the most purely entertaining popcorn action films of his entire career. This is the era of contradictions that somehow all work. A martial arts epic that became one of the highest grossing foreign language films in American history, sitting alongside a brutal European art house thriller about a man raised like a dog, a buddy action comedy with one of the biggest hip-hop stars in the world sitting alongside a fantasy adventure that finally let Jet Li share the screen with the only other martial artist who could possibly match him. 7 films. The years when Jet Li proved that an action star from Hong Kong could operate at the absolute highest level of global cinema while still delivering everything an action movie audience could want. We have saved one entry for the film that contains what many critics consider the single greatest performance of Jet Li's entire career, a role that required him to do something almost nobody expected, find genuine menace and pathos in complete silence. That entry is coming. Pay close attention.
Here we go again.
Sorry, pal. There's a mummy on the loose.
Beyond death. Beyond imagination
Hey, man, they never play fair.
lies an adventure that will live for all eternity.
Hang on!
The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
The third installment of the Mummy franchise made a decision that was, on paper, an obvious commercial move, and in execution, turned out to be a genuinely interesting creative experiment. Bring in Jet Li as the central antagonist, a resurrected ancient Chinese emperor cursed with immortality, and an army of terracotta warriors, and let two of cinema's great visual traditions, the Hollywood blockbuster, adventure film, and Chinese mythology, collide directly. Jet Li plays Emperor Han, a role that requires very little dialogue but enormous physical and tonal range. The character shifts between human form and a towering dragon creature for the film's climax, and Jet Li's performance work in the human sequences carries genuine weight despite the franchise's general commitment to spectacle over subtlety. What makes this entry worth including is less the film's overall quality, which is uneven by most critical assessments, and more the specific moments where Jet Li's presence elevates material that does not always deserve him. There is a sequence involving a confrontation in the Himalayas, where his physical command of the screen briefly transforms a fairly standard blockbuster set piece into something with real tension and gravity. Michelle Yeoh appears as well, marking a reunion with Jet Li that fans of Tai Chi Master had been waiting over a decade to see continue in some form, even within the considerably less ambitious context of a studio franchise film. The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor is not essential Jet Li, but it is a reminder that even working within the constraints of a mid-tier Hollywood franchise, his particular gravity is difficult to fully contain.
You killed my partner. Get ready for a war.
On August 24th, Jet Li and Jason Statham are at war.
You and I are gonna finish this.
War, released in some territories under the title Rogue Assassin, pairs Jet Li with Jason Statham in a thriller built around a deadly assassin known as Rogue, who is manipulating two rival criminal organizations into mutual destruction, while an FBI agent obsessed with catching him closes in from a different direction. The film operates with a genuine twist structure that recontextualizes everything that comes before it, and while the mechanics of that twist do not entirely hold up to close scrutiny, the journey to get there is consistently entertaining. Jet Li and Jason Statham, two performers with very different physical styles and screen presences, generate a compelling dynamic across their shared scenes, each one operating in a register that complements rather than competes with the other. The action sequences benefit considerably from this pairing. Statham brings a brutal, improvised, almost street-fighting physicality that contrasts effectively with Jet Li's precise, controlled, almost surgical approach to combat. A sequence involving a confrontation in a restaurant kitchen makes excellent use of both performers' particular strengths, with the environment itself becoming an active participant in the fight choreography. War is a film that knows exactly what kind of entertainment it is trying to deliver and delivers it efficiently. It is not attempting to be more than a well-constructed action thriller, and within those self-imposed limits, it succeeds completely. For audiences who simply want to watch two of the most accomplished action performers of their generation share screen time, it remains one of the more satisfying pairings either man has been part of.
That was a big heist. Risky heist.
Blow it.
Gotta be something good. Something expensive. Ooh, jackpot.
Ever see a black diamond?
Well, I've seen a white diamond. Hell, I've seen Neil Diamond. I got a bit. He is awesome in concert. Never seen a black diamond.
Something's wrong.
I want my stones, Mr. Fate.
I'm not gonna be able to do that.
The second collaboration between Jet Li and director Andrei Bartkowiak following Romeo Must Die brought him together with DMX in a film built around the theft of a set of rare black diamonds with a hidden and considerably more dangerous purpose. The plot mechanics involve criminal heists, government conspiracies, and a genuinely entertaining mismatched partnership between Jet Li's character and DMX's character, who must work together despite operating from completely different motivations and methods. Cradle 2, The Grave leans hard into a hip-hop and martial arts crossover aesthetic that was very much of its specific cultural moment in the early 2000s, and watching it today carries a particular kind of nostalgic charge for anyone who remembers that era of action filmmaking. The soundtrack, the visual style, the buddy comedy energy between its two very different leads, all of it feels like a precise snapshot of a specific time. The action sequences remain the film's strongest element. A sequence set in an underground fighting arena gives Jet Li room to operate at full intensity against a series of opponents, and the choreography retains the clarity and precision that defines his best work even within a film that is otherwise more interested in spectacle than subtlety. Cradle 2, The Grave is not attempting to be a serious film, and judged purely as an entertaining piece of early 2000s action cinema with genuine chemistry between its leads, it succeeds at exactly what it sets out to do.
Enough.
She will kill you, witch. Not if I kill you first, orphan bitch.
For decades, fans of martial arts cinema had been asking a single question with growing intensity. When would Jet Li and Jackie Chan finally share the screen together? The Forbidden Kingdom from 2008 finally answered that question, and the resulting film, while imperfect in several respects, delivers on the central promise with a sequence that fans had waited years to see. The story follows an American teenager obsessed with Chinese martial arts cinema who is transported into a fantastical version of ancient China, where he encounters a drunken immortal played by Jackie Chan and a silent monk played by Jet Li, both of whom guide him through a quest involving a legendary staff and an imprisoned warrior king. The framing device, using a contemporary American protagonist as an entry point into Chinese mythology, was a deliberate choice to make the material accessible to Western audiences, and it works better than the cynical premise might suggest. The centerpiece of the film, and the reason it earns its place on this list, is the extended fight sequence between Jackie Chan and Jet Li that occurs roughly a third of the way through the story. Choreographed with input from Yuan Wu Ping, The sequence is constructed almost like a conversation between two distinct martial arts philosophies, Chan's improvised, comedic, environment-based style against Lee's precise, disciplined, internally focused approach. It is the rare crossover sequence that justifies the hype surrounding it. Jet Li gives his role genuine warmth and humor underneath the character's stoic surface, and his chemistry with Chan throughout the film suggests two performers who have enormous mutual respect and are clearly enjoying the opportunity to finally work together. The Forbidden Kingdom may not be a great film overall, but the sequence at its center is exactly the kind of moment that martial arts cinema history had been building toward for 20 years.
They came to break a nation's will. But one man stood to defy them.
You better lose this time.
Our victory is guaranteed.
From the producers of Hero and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Jet Li in his final martial arts epic. Jet Li's Fearless.
Jet Li has stated publicly on multiple occasions that Fearless represents the final martial arts epic of his career, a deliberate decision to close out this particular chapter of his filmography with a film of genuine ambition and personal significance. Whether or not that retirement from the genre proved permanent, the seriousness of intent behind Fearless is evident in every frame. The film is loosely based on the life of Huo Yuanjia, a real martial artist who became a national hero in China during the early 20th century for defeating foreign challengers who had been publicly mocking Chinese martial arts as inferior. The narrative structure follows Huo's journey from a young man consumed by arrogance and a desperate need to prove himself, through a personal tragedy that nearly destroys him, to a period of genuine spiritual transformation, and finally to a reckoning where his renewed understanding of martial arts as a discipline rather than a weapon allows him to represent his country with genuine honor rather than empty pride. Jet Li's performance traces that entire arc with remarkable physical and emotional specificity. The young, arrogant Huo Yuanjia moves through the world differently than the transformed man who emerges in the film's final act, and Jet Li communicates that internal change through posture, through rhythm, through the quality of his stillness as much as through his combat choreography. The action sequences, particularly the climactic series of duels against international challengers, are staged with a clarity and emotional weight that elevates them beyond simple spectacle. Each fight carries thematic significance about cultural dignity and the difference between strength used to dominate and strength used to represent something larger than yourself. Fearless is a fitting and genuinely moving capstone to the historical epic period of Jet Li's career.
You're my dog!
Not anymore.
Here is the entry we promised at the beginning, and the argument for its inclusion, this high on the list, rests on a single claim that very few people who have seen the film would dispute. Unleashed contains the finest dramatic acting performance of Jet Li's entire career, full stop. Directed by Louis Leterrier and written by Luc Besson, Unleashed tells the story of a man named Danny who has been raised since childhood by a brutal criminal to function essentially as an attack dog, kept in a cage, fitted with a collar, and unleashed only to brutalize the criminal's enemies on command. When circumstances separate Danny from his captor, he is taken in by a blind piano tuner and his stepdaughter, and the film becomes an unexpectedly tender exploration of What happens when a person who has only ever known violence is exposed, for the first time in his adult life, to ordinary kindness? Jet Li's performance is built almost entirely around physical and behavioral details rather than dialogue. The way Danny eats, the way he reacts to physical affection, the way his body remains perpetually braced for violence, even in moments of genuine safety, all of it is communicated through a performance of extraordinary specificity and restraint. This is not action movie acting. This is genuine character work of the highest order, performed by a man whose training as a martial artist gave him an unusually precise control over his own physicality that translates directly into dramatic performance. The action sequences, when they arrive, hit with a different kind of impact because of the emotional context surrounding them. Watching Danny return to violence after experiencing kindness carries a tragic weight that pure action filmmaking rarely achieves. Morgan Freeman, in a supporting role as the piano tuner, brings genuine warmth to his scenes with Jet Li, and their relationship forms the emotional spine of a film that uses action cinema as a vehicle for something considerably more ambitious than spectacle.
With no name, a warrior with supernatural skill and no fear, on a mission of revenge against the army that massacred his people. Now, to make the wrong things right, he must take on the Empire's most ruthless assassins and reach the enemy he has sworn to defeat.
There are films that work as entertainment, and there are films that work as art, and there are a small number of films where those two categories merge so completely that the result becomes something close to perfect. Hero from 2002, directed by Zhang Yimou, belongs unambiguously to that small category, and its place at the top of this list reflects a simple truth. It is not just the best film Jet Li ever made. It is one of the greatest films ever made in any genre, by any measure. The story is structured as a series of nested narratives, each one revising and recontextualizing the version that came before it, following a nameless assassin who has come to report to the King of Qin on the deaths of 3 legendary warriors who had been threatening the king's life. As the nameless assassin recounts his story, and as the king begins to suspect the truth behind it, the film unfolds layer after layer of meaning about loyalty, sacrifice, political unification, and the cost of peace. Jet Li's performance as the nameless assassin is a masterclass in controlled intensity. The character operates under multiple layers of deception throughout much of the film, and Jet Li must communicate truths to the audience that his character is actively concealing from everyone around him, all while maintaining the physical command that the role's combat sequences demand. It is an extraordinarily difficult balancing act, and he achieves it with a precision that few performers in any tradition could match. The visual achievement of Hero, with cinematography by Christopher Doyle, is among the most beautiful ever committed to film. Each duel in the film is associated with a specific color palette and emotional register, transforming the combat sequences into something closer to visual poetry than conventional action choreography. The fight sequence set among falling autumn leaves, the confrontation across a still lake, the climactic duel rendered in stark monochrome, each represents a different facet of the same underlying philosophical argument about violence, restraint, and the true meaning of heroism. Hero became one of the highest-grossing foreign-language films in American box office history, a genuine cultural phenomenon that introduced an entire generation of Western audiences to the idea that a martial arts film could operate at the highest level of cinematic art. It remains, more than 2 decades after its release, the definitive statement of everything Jet Li's career had been building toward: 7 films. The years when an action star from Hong Kong proved he could compete at the absolute highest level of world cinema while still delivering everything an action movie audience could want. What makes this period so remarkable, looking back on it now, is the sheer range it contains. Hero, standing as one of the great achievements in the history of international cinema, Unleashed, proving that Jet Li's gifts extended into dramatic territory that most action stars never attempt. Fearless, closing out a chapter of historical epics with genuine emotional weight. And alongside all of that, the pure entertainment of war and Cradle 2, the grave and the long-awaited joy of finally seeing him share the screen with Jackie Chan in The Forbidden Kingdom. No other action star of his generation, in any country, achieved this particular combination of critical respect, commercial success, and creative range during a single 6-year window. That is not an exaggeration. It is simply what the films themselves demonstrate when you watch them together. So tell us in the comments, where does Hero rank among the greatest films you have ever seen, action or otherwise? Did Unleashed surprise you the way it surprised audiences who expected a simple action thriller and got something far more emotionally complex? And the question everyone wants answered: in the Forbidden Kingdom fight, who do you think actually won? Like this video if it reminded you why this stretch of Jet Li's career deserves to be remembered as one of the great runs in action cinema history. Subscribe so you are here for TEP 6, where we follow Jet Li into the historical epics and large-scale Chinese productions that closed out the most ambitious phase of his career. The story is almost complete. We will see you for the next chapter.